Hi, everyone. I'm Steve, here as always weekly with Dr. Nario. How you doing, Doc?
Pretty good, Steve. Thank you for inviting me again. Always a pleasure.
All right, so we're going to talk about, which we talk a lot about on my social media channels, on ways to focus on recovering mentally, physically, as you age, because it's something for me that I've had to put more emphasis into to recover and make sure I'm ready to go for the next day. So if you guys are interested in interviews with doctors, nutritionists, personal trainers, subscribe to the channel. If you want to know more about our weight loss program, use the QR code on the screen or the link in the description. And Dr. Nario is at Biointegrative Health Center in Reno, Nevada. They do a lot of cool treatments, IV drips. They treat a wide variety of different issues. So if you want to know more about that, you can find out more on their website, Biointegrative Health Center in Reno. So, um, what were the terms? Let's go over the terms you were talking about with me before we turn to this on about the cells and just what happens in recovery.
Right. So, Steve, the things with athletes, it may be because of the workouts that are involved with that, or even the elderly as we get older, muscles, joints, hydration, and fueling strategies are the ones that we actually need to focus on. But the one that we overlook most of the time in relation to peak performance and even just recovery would be what we call cell membranes. And these are more emphasized on what we call the mitochondria, the engines that power every movement through ATP production. And what damages this? A lot of oxidative stress, especially when you're a high performance athlete or when aging gets into the picture. Competition, environmental exposures does that. And these membranes, so this is your cell, the outside membranes, the phospholipid membranes, as we call them, actually is very, it becomes stiff and leaky and oxidized. So thus it impairs the ability for that mitochondria to do its function, right? Thus, slower recovery, greater fatigue, aging would be resulting into this specific outcome. That's why the word comes into the picture called membrane lipid replacement. So this is something that we use supplements or basically um, uh, even food to regain the phospholipid structure of that cell to have that protection again, to repair, replace, renew these damaged membranes. And unlike lecithin and choline, that is the most famous supplement that always are related to regenerating these phospholipids, there are now special ones out there to actually have better outcomes in relation to better cell membranes.
So I want to get into details of your suggestions of what to do to enhance our recovery. But first, I want to ask, recovery. So an athlete, a younger person, they have challenges for recovering that are different than someone who's maybe in their 60s. So I think the challenge for these younger people, these athletes that are pushing hard, is their intensity level and their training level and their duration of training is going to challenge the body to recover, and they can recover more from that. But someone who's older, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, their mitochondria doesn't work like it did when they were 22, right?
Right, right. So that is correct. So the thing with older and younger, he is really is the mitochondria. Right, the mitochondria is the factory, the powerhouse. And when we talk about athletes, it's just that they have the ability to repair it faster because, of course, aging is not an accelerator. But when you talk about older age groups who also, let's say, does not exercise but also involved in physical activity, does not have the help of youth behind them. So that's why when we talk about anti-aging therapies, that's what's something that we add in for the older age group versus the younger athletes. And as part of that anti-aging in general for both parties that you just mentioned or population, Healthier mitochondrial membranes restore electrical chemical gradients, need to optimize the ATP output, giving you more energy and cellular level. So, does this give an advantage to the older people versus the athletes? They both can benefit from it. And this also, of course, the membrane replacement therapy enhances recovery because damaged membranes occurs all the time, slowing recovery and also lowering down function for the older ones. Thus, of course, for athletes, less soreness, faster bounce back, and more training capacity. And then for the older age, there's definitely more work that can be done, healthier outcomes in terms of now when you have that lipid membrane, you can remove toxins better and faster. And again, and for athletes, I like it because resilience against overtraining. This actually helps against chronic fatigue and overtraining syndromes because the mitochondria actually support is giving health long term.
So, how do we do this? Are you talking about a supplement or a type of exercise, or what are your suggestions or thoughts on how to improve this?
Right. So when you mentioned about supplementation, there are supplements out there. The one that I want to point out and put under the spotlight are the more famous ones I always hear, which is taking lecithin or choline. Unfortunately, these supplements, when you take it, they don't survive to get to the cell because they're going to be killed by your gastric juices. But there are now special ones that are out there. Number one that will be heard a lot would be called phosphatidylcholine. So in our clinic, we give this in IV form, but there's also an oral version of this. And a major, this is actually the main heart of the structure of your cell, the wall, the Great Wall of China of our cells. And this is required for fluidity of movement in these cells when they move around your body, flexibility and repair. And in your mitochondria, that's also the one that protects that, which actually is producing the electron transport chain to produce more ATP. And another one is phosphatidylethanolamine. And this is also the second most abundant fat in that membranes that we have. And also, again, important for ATP production. Another one is phosphatidylserine. So this is one that I want to specifically mention that it's for brain function. So there's a lot of fat in our brain. And this one is actually the main membrane structure of brain cells, and also it lowers down cortisol and supports neurological function. And the other one, this is like least unheard of, is cardiolipin, and this is specialized phospholipid in just the mitochondria alone. And this is something that can be also enhanced through supplementation to increase ATP production. And the other ones that you will hear again, it's a prebiotic fructooligosaccharide. It's not only helping with the repair of the cell wall, but also for gut health, and also would be love. It's a prebiotic that would love to be eaten by your microbiome, and but still, it helps a lot of athletes and older populations who wants to use it.
So, these are all supplements that you mentioned, right?
They are supplements, and one that I wanna highlight is there. If you want systemic benefit, phosphatidylcholine or PPC is something that you can get through IV form.
Okay, and if someone wants to get an IV form, they would have to find a clinic.
That's right. So that's uh, it has to be directed by your medical provider, basically.
Right.
But again, the oral forms are out there, and those are things that we do.
So, can you just tell us in order again if someone wants to look this up online or find, these supplements, one through you mentioned about four? What are they again?
Yeah. So let's guide our viewers here, and let's give some doses for them to actually kind of see what kind of where they fall into. So for phosphatidylcholine, it's around 500 to 1500 milligrams per day. Ethanolamine or PE, 100 to 300 milligrams per day. L-serine, 100 to 300 milligrams per day. Lipin, I only know one product, which is actually keeping it as proprietary, and they don't disclose the dose of that, but it's out there. And also for the, I guess the one that I mentioned last was fructooligosaccharides, and these are usually, I mean, dosing is not common I kind of see it in different ways, but it's always good to take this combined so that you can buy this with a probiotic combined with a prebiotic.
So is there other things, like I'm sure exercise can benefit, the younger people and either those who are aging and trying to maintain their energy, their mitochondria and their ATP in the cells as much as possible. What else is there? Other things that we can do other than supplements?
To maintain the cell membrane, is that what we're saying?
Yeah,
Yeah. So the way how to repair cell membranes really is all about turnover. So meaning eat healthy fats, right? So phosphatidylcholine is not only something that you
healthy
get.
fats.
Healthy fats, yes.
Yeah.
Extra virgin olive oil, for example, has all of these lipid components that we need as well. Avocado oil. So these are monounsaturated unsaturated fats that we have. So fatty acids basically can also have this, meaning food can also be something that we can use to build this up. But the problem here is these are healthy choices, right? Who eats healthy now compared to before? So majority of this really are now it's our easy way out why we get supplements because we just want it fast, over and done with. But again, natural food can definitely help this out. And even as you said, exercise. Why is exercise good and detoxification protocols? Because these bad or weak cell membranes can be disposed of by the body. So you can actually replace it with newer ones naturally. So it's acting like a detoxification program or protocol that will just push the reset button on you to now integrate new cell structures for your mitochondria's protection.
So if we're eating healthy, whole, real foods, I mean, obviously it's going to help us function better, right?
Yes, and again, you hear a lot of these healthy fats present in vegetables, for example. Like as I mentioned to you, the two examples a while ago. Uh, that's why it's harder to put it in the system because the standard American diet is just more prominent versus what Paleolithic or caveman diets that are out there when our ancestors are pretty healthy during those times.
Yeah, I take in the mornings, or depending on when I take my fat soluble vitamins, I always do a couple teaspoons of extra virgin organic olive oil.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's the thing. When you talk about enhancing this absorption, I would always suggest take it with a fatty meal, meaning not like fat, but I always want to say that fat absorbs fat. So take it with food. If there's healthy fat in there, it's better absorbed out.
Okay, so is there anything I didn't ask that you want our audience to know about this?
Yeah. So one of the things that is out there really that we definitely want to make mention of is the delivery system of these supplements. You have to check that because majority of these supplements that are not what we call nanotized or protected around the cells, this is actually something that will be destroyed by your GI tract. So you have to make sure that whatever you're if you're going to be taking these supplements, it should be lipid encapsulated, meaning the liposomal, right? And then these liposomals are actually protectors so that it can bring this to the small intestines and be absorbed faster. Because if you're just going to take low quality of this, you're probably wasting your money overall.
Isn't liposomal always a good idea, whether you're taking vitamin C or glutathione or whatever? Isn't liposomal always a good idea?
It's just that the trade-off there would be it's a little bit more expensive, unfortunately. That's why it's not necessary for all supplements to be liposomal. For example, the water-soluble ones. Sure, you could definitely get liposomal, but if you think about it, you definitely have a higher chance of absorption with water-soluble than fat-soluble. And also, if somebody really has, I mean, nobody's out there who has a perfect gut, basically. If you have good gut function and absorption is basically not an issue for you, then you can definitely bank your money on just pretty straight up non-liposomal vitamins and nutrients.
Yeah, and the fat soluble vitamins are vitamin A, D, E,
And
K,
K.
and the water soluble are all the B vitamins, vitamin C. And so that kind of tells you what the water soluble vitamins are. Okay,
Yes.
well, um, any last thoughts, Doc?
Yeah, and again, these supplements are very safe. I mean, especially, well, the most common side effect, as I always hear, is just GI issues, GI problems, bloating, but very safe overall, especially when we give it through IV for systemic, because we give it, when you talk about IV, we're giving it now for people who has neurological issues, cardiovascular problems, so really deeper ones. But for our elderly who's healthy and for the athletes, the oral supplements are pretty okay. But again, just make sure that yeah, you still keep an eye out for some of these safe side effects, and it's pretty well tolerated.
Okay, so if anybody out there has questions, put them in the comment section. I'll make sure Dr. Nario gets those and can address those. So, as always, thanks for being with us, Dr. Nario.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for having me again. It's always a pleasure to be here. As we all know, that knowledge is power, and thank you for letting me provide you with the edge on longevity and health maintenance, which I call the biological edge or the bio edge.